There we are. Hello, Internet. Doom Gaming here, and welcome back to Grand Theft Auto Online. So, what we are doing today, this is a quality test. I've noticed that some of my streams look fine. The streams look freaking excellent. The video that's being produced after the fact looks like dirt. And I don't know why. I wanted to play for a bit and do a little stream, and once it processes, watch the video and see if there isn't a better quality of the video. So yeah, the stream looks fine. The stream I have no problem with personally. It's the video that's being produced from the stream. I know from what I read last night, there are some stipulations and and some things that can't be changed due to the where you're going for your streams. There's things that prevent it from working if you're not oh, I did it. I didn't play till late yesterday, that's why. So yeah, I was watching all the videos I made in the past couple. The streams turn into videos, and they're not horrible by any means. They're not horrible, but they're not where I would want them. They look very just very unclean. Just like, shut the fuck up, it's hard to even doing it, trying to talk. Everybody's just like, yeah, the other day. I'm gonna yell as fucking loud as possible. You crackhead! God. So anyways, that's what's going on. So we're here to do, this is why it's called a quality test. I'm gonna do a minor stream. Hey there, Treppo. And I don't plan on playing for long. I just want to make a video and then watch the playback of it after it does its thing and processes it onto YouTube and see if I know the video call will never be 100%. I'm well aware that will never be 100% crystal clear, but I don't think it should look like garbled mess either. Now, like I said, in all reality, what I have is it probably isn't even horrible. It's probably actually rather standard for probably doing YouTube. And I probably can't make it too much more clear, but if there's anything I can do to just make it not look like a hot mess, then. So what I've done is I went online last night, I looked up a couple of things, and we're trying them now. Yeah, I said the stream, that's the thing I'm doing. Like I said, the stream looks fine. The stream looks freaking excellent because I have good internet, OBS is running fine, and the stream looks like pristine, like I'm actually like you were playing it yourself. It's the video that's being produced afterwards. From what I read, when YouTube takes the stream and does its thing with it, it compresses it and it makes it into a usable format, which can change it to a quality that's not to my standards. Now, if I'm gonna die, hold it. Ow. If I was a partner, apparently that wouldn't matter, and the video quality being produced after the fact would be as clear as it is now, but I do think there are some things I can do to affect how the video is being produced to YouTube and what YouTube is doing to it after the fact. Hopefully, so that's why we're doing this. This is all just literally a big ass test. Display no graphics. I don't know why it keeps putting it in windowed for full screen. In case you can't tell, we're playing on PC. Yes, it's fine. We are good to go. Why is targeting and free aim for? I hate free aim. I really do. Why is it? Why can't I change? Because usually you can go back. Oh, that's why. So I had to quit online mode, go back to story mode, change it, and then go back. Yeah, so I was noticing the last. Like I said, the videos aren't horrible looking. They're not like, holy shit. Like, not just me, but most people don't have the best internet, so most people probably won't even notice it. But people who have good internet, like me, I notice it. What I'm noticing is when it moves, when everything's moving, it's fine. The minute I stop moving in the game, the graphics kind of shift and everything looks a lot more clear. And the minute I start moving again, everything doesn't get blurry, but it's not. It doesn't look like this. But it's so minor you don't even notice it. Like most people wouldn't even put a second thought to it. It would be like, oh, this is fine. I don't see what you're talking about. But because I have OCD and because I'm a slight perfectionist and because I want to offer the best quality video to you guys and not have fucking crap, you know, I want this to look as decent as possible. Now I play GTA Online on PlayStation. Yeah, I forgot that. I figured this out years ago. So if you have free aim set in the story, and then you go to play online, it locks the free aim for online. Or if you have it on auto aim, it will lock it. So basically, the settings you have for story carry over into online mode, which I might as well go fix that real quick, because I can't do this. Well, we just quit the whole damn game apparently. That's fine. Start it back up. There it goes. I was like, we're not. Give it a second. Get a nice old black screen here. But so I quit online, and it's like, oh, you want to quit the whole game? It's like, no, I want to go back to the story mode. There it goes. Because I am not good with free aim. I'm so spastic. Because like the minute I try and aim, I'm just like, I go everywhere, and I can play with free aim. I don't like to. I'm not calibrated. Not calibrated, but I'm not decent enough to play with free aim intact. I am not that good. I never have been, never will be. Damn it, what I changed two options. One of them actually is an option I was really curious about. What was it? Enforce the streamer coding or, not coding, encoding? Option.
Come on. Shit, come on.
Come on, get down with the bad say.
Damn, this nigga must got the baby dick.
Yeah, if you had a controller, I'd be like, but on controller, it's just, it's too precise. Alright, settings, game put. Sure. Yeah, I think it's partial. I was thinking still, if I think, I believe so. I don't remember what it was. Let's try assisted aim. I remember back when GTA 5 was first being made, and it was like the biggest deal in the world. Because nowadays, like being part of a video game is like being a movie star, and somebody that was I don't know if they met the guy who played Michael, or they were like one of the cameraman, whatever it was. But anyways, they found the voice actor that played Michael, and they had the guy, I forgot his name, they had him send a voicemail to one of his friends as a character, and it was really quite interesting. But yeah, like back in the day, like if you say, "Oh yeah, I've worked on a video game," people be like, "Oh, that's neat. How much money did you make?" And now it's like, "Oh yeah, I worked on the new game." And they'll be like, "Oh, that's awesome. You're in the industry." Like it at least in my eyes, I think, like back in the day, video games weren't the biggest deal. They were very much, "Oh, you must be a nerd. You gotta be a geek to play video games." And um, when consoles became a bigger deal, and it became more of like a way to show off your skills and other things, they became more of a they became more open to a lot of people, and no longer was it just the heavy gamers that were playing it. It was, you know, everybody who just has free time. Huh. That's actually kind of funny. I did like Hitman. I did play it. It's too hard. All right, so setting, yeah. So I know the game's old as shit now. If you haven't figured it out, well then, what are you doing? But yeah, if for some reason you're having that problem, it's what you do. All right, let's go ahead and I don't know. So just keep. I'm gonna do a mission, but I don't really feel like I'm just. I feel this driving is the best thing. I need movement. So yeah, anyway, I turned off the enforce the encoder streaming options, which from what I read, when you set your bitrate to a really high level, and then you send it to wherever your services, the service is like, say you're streaming at like 5,000 bitrate, bits per second, which is what I'm doing. Your encoder may, or your encoder may be like, well, according to our settings, we can't allow that. We can only allow this much. So it'll lock it at 3,000 or even lower than that. Turning that off, from what I understand, don't quote me on any of this. I'm just guessing right on the internet. Allows me to have more control over the video quality that's being produced. So setting it to a high, turning that off should make it so that all 5,000 of my kilobytes of information are being sent to YouTube into this video. Yeah, it took me a long time to understand it. There's still a lot of them I really don't know. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it I went online to look most of it up. Some of it I know, but a lot of it I stream a lot, but there's still a lot I don't know. But if you use OBS and you have it in simple mode, which I do now, because I've just been working a lot better in simple mode, you set it up, you go. If you want a little more nicer stream or you want more control over it, I really don't think it matters per se. You put it in advanced mode. That's the other thing. When I read advanced and simple mode, it's like, I think, like, if your internet is up to par, let's say, you can tweak a few settings and make it work properly, or you just want a more precise control over your stream, like you really care about the quality and you want it to be like crystal clear, then yeah, you go to advanced settings and change all that. For me, I have a high enough internet, my computer is decent enough that I can put it in simple and it really doesn't matter the stream is being produced. And so I'll be like, well, that's why your video quality looks like shit, because you don't have it in advance, so the video being produced to YouTube is fucking shit. And it's like, no there, jackass. First of all, that's not the fucking case, because I've had it in advanced all this time, and the video still looks like shit after it's produced. So, for anybody who goes rambling off those fucking words, shut the fuck up. Alright? Unless you have made OBS and you know 100% how it works, I do not want to take your advice. So, yeah, that's out there now. But, and the other thing I changed was the super sampling? I gotta check now. It was something. Yeah. Hold on. No, it's a video. Okay, yeah, the downscale filter. I changed the downscale filter to one that was more, it was the bicubid, I think it's pronounced as. And people were saying that that is, will give you a lot better quality in terms of like when the video is produced to YouTube, it won't look like shit once it's produced. So, again, that's why I'm doing all this. This is just to test the quality, so when the video is done and it makes a video out of it and it compresses it, hopefully there's enough leftover data that's not going to compress the fuck out of it and make it look like, you know, my video just shit itself. I tried OBS once. Well, I mean, you can go into simple. I mean, if you would need help with OBS, I'm more than happy to walk you through it. There's a few things that, like, you need to know, but they're easy to find out. Like, the biggest thing you want to know is how good is your internet and what are your downloads and what are your uploads, and that right there will tell you how much bitrate you can have for your video. The more you have, obviously, the better it will look. Mine says currently set to 5,000 because I have a internet meant for a family of 6 for one person. I also pay $100 a month for this thing, so yeah, I don't know the most about OBS, but I'm more than happy to help anybody who needs help with it. Yeah, no claims bonus, sweet. I've been using OBS for the past couple of years. When I first started, I used the program that came with my my Elgato. That was the Game Capture HD program. I started recording on that, and I tried doing my first stream through that. It doesn't work anymore apparently through YouTube. It's I tried using it a couple days ago, last week, and it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't want to connect to the servers because YouTube changed something. I had a friend on which option to select only 500 gigabytes. Yeah, I think Twitch is, you need a minimal of 3,000. But yeah, if you have a slow internet, you're not streaming, unfortunately, you need a lot of internet. And I know it sounds dumb, but you need, like, because you're trying to be, like right here, because I'm riding this bike a lot, Is it because riding a bike, obviously, I'm going faster, so my internet, the game, everything has to keep up with what I'm doing. The faster I go, the more it has to process. And the slower you go, it doesn't need much information. So yeah, you need a lot of internet to keep up with a stream. If you don't have it, your stream's gonna look like dirt because you don't have much to keep it up to par. But like I said, I think most people don't have a stellar internet, and if you're not looking into streaming full time, then I wouldn't worry about it. Recording is just as fine. It's just, I know for me, for streaming, I've gotten a lot more recognition, and I've gotten a lot more, I've climbed a lot higher in a very short time, where recording, it's like, people can click on it and then just skip to the end, and they're just like, oh, that's how it ends, and then, you know, where a stream is like, you don't know how it's going to end. I could beat the game in 5 minutes. I could beat the game in 14 hours. You don't know the difference. It's the reason why Rockstar Games made playing slow, because you're too fast. Yes, that is an issue. Actually, I'm sure you guys know this too, but speaking of maps not loading fast enough, the original Silent Hill for the PlayStation 1, the reason, well, for those who don't know, the Silent Hill is always encloaked in a veil of thick fog, and it does add to the spookiness of the game. But the reason the fog is there, I'm sure most of them will notice by now, but the reason the fog is there is to actually hide the loading. Because the loading was so horrendous, the fog hides it. You don't notice it. So, you know, that's a thing. But, you know, there's the little tricks of the trade you learn over years of making games, and, you know, it's like when you have a building in the distance the player's not meant to go to, it's like you make it flat as a pancake because they're never going to be able to see it. Yeah, definitely. It's like for this here, for example, it's the same thing. What is it, like minimalism? I'm sure there's an actual like technical word for it, but like everything that I'm seeing in the distance right now, most of it's loaded and most of it isn't. And as I am progressing towards it, things are loading ahead of me and things are being unloaded behind me. The game is constantly in a state of handling the data, so it's never fully like stressed out. Because having a fully loaded map is just not going to happen. You'll be chugging so much because your system wouldn't be able to. No system in the world can handle. Well, I'm sure one could, for like a freaking supercomputer, could handle a whole map being loaded. But that's why, like, if you're like on top of a tall building and you look at the cars, you notice all the lights look all the same because the cars aren't really there. It's just the little lights floating around. Actually, for a while there, I got really into. I don't know if I mentioned this before. I always wanted to be a video game developer. I never got into it, but I really wanted to for a while, and I learned a lot. A lot. And after a while, I started seeing my world in the way of like how a game works. And that doesn't sound like a freaking screwball or anything, but it's funny when you know how a game works and you look at real life, you can be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And, you know, it's a little labeler. Yeah. Yeah, like right there, those two palm trees were right up there. They were a little bit fuzzy, but as I got close to them, they loaded right up. That's why with a better PC, things in the distance may not look as fuzzy because they're able to load a little higher detail, but a lot of it's also the game just, you know, doing what the game does. Yeah, I actually developed a couple of my own games. They're lost to the internet now. They're still on there somewhere, but I did make a few little shitty games back in the day. Like I said, I got really into it. I did learn about code, and I learned about, you know, about drawing sprites and all that, and I did make some games. So, you know, I can say that much. And it's a lot of work. It really is a lot of work. It's more work than you realize. Mine were like, you know, 2D little flat pancake games. I couldn't imagine making a whole 3D game. Oof. I tried doing that. The same program I tried doing that, and it's work. It really is. You don't realize how much work it is to like make a game. What was it? It was like a 2D. So the story was, I forget my own story. That's how bad it was. You were like a little cherub trying to find these gems to like, it's a simple story, like keep the balance between like heaven and hell in order. And like I had a whole story for it, and it was just really simple gameplay. Like it was nothing any bit professional. Like don't think it was this like high class, like super stellar game. I mean, you know, but I made some art for it, and I made all the levels, and I even had a little secret level select screen, so you could literally test the game out, because that's why you actually have like level select rooms, is to like get to a certain spot so you can if you're working on a map that's hard to get to, you can just warp there and ow. Yeah, I spent about a year doing that. Yeah, it was original enough, but it wasn't, you know, I mean. But yeah, I mean, I've always had an interest in video games. Actually, for a while there, back when you could do it, you know, illegally but legally, I used to play ROMs back in the day, and I had this one emulator that I could look at the code for the game, and I could alter it and really screw with the game. And if you were really good, you can actually look at the code and actually see like stages you're on, because sometimes the code is laid out in just a way, because you know, it just makes a stage in the code. Well, I'm gonna explain that too, I'll try to explain my best understanding how code works. So the code in general, so like everything in the game is attached to a code. I'm not sure how it gets the ID of that code, but so like, let's say the ground here is, you know, code 001F25, you know, and like, you know, it's weird like how it works. Like my brain just like totally crashed on me. I had a thought there, and it just was like but like in NES, it's like 2 digits per each pixel, for each like little square pixel. So it's like 1F will be like this piece of ground, and like 05 will be, well, not 05, but like F2 will be like this piece of sky, you know. And when you look at a board, it might be like a bunch of zeros, and the zeros are attached to this piece of blue, which will make a sky, and then F1 is like your ground, so you'll see a bunch of F1 that will represent the ground. And you know, it's hard to explain. I had to like show you, which a couple years ago I actually did try to show people about code in games, but That was around the time where the classic NES came out, and people were like, "Oh, I know. Let's put all this stuff on here." And then it was like, "Oh, okay. We're finally, after all these years, gonna bring the hammer down on illegal ROMs." Well, I mean, like, at first looking at it, nothing made sense. All I saw was this garble, like, cause it's just, what was like 9 sections going from left to right, and it was like, I forgot how many sections going down. It goes down a lot. And really all you do is you try to look for, let's say you're looking for, let's say the game has like a clock on it. Let's say the clock starts at 3 minutes and it counts down like a Super Mario Brothers. All you do is you start searching the code, because as the clock is ticking down, it's also ticking down in the code. So all you do is this: you look at the time in the game. So let's say now it's at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You then go into the code and you look for. You can even pause it too, like literally pause the code so it will stay at that point. And you just look for 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the code, and then when you find it, you watch it and see if it changes. And if it changes, well, that's your time, and you can then alter it. You can put in any value you want to, because either you're gonna put in a value that exists, or you're gonna put in a value that doesn't exist, and you're gonna destroy the clock, and it's gonna look like garble. It's not as hard as you think. It's just knowing what to look for and just finding it and messing with it. There's a time being spent. Oof. Yeah, I couldn't imagine being like a debugger. It's like that's why they have test players. You know, a test player will play a game and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I went to the ground here," or this piece of rail doesn't have collision. So you write all this down. You go back to the I guess the developer or whatever. You'd be like, "Oh hey, this part of the desert, there's no collision here, here, and here," and they gotta retake the whole game and go back to the code or back to that point and put collision. I'm sure it's a lot easier than it used to be. And then they, recompile it and give it back to you. You keep test playing it. Like back in the day, I would think trying to make a game perfect was like pulling teeth, because it's like you literally had to surf through lines of code and know exactly what you're looking for. Now it's like everything's a lot more pristine, a lot more cleaner than it used to be, and it's still not easy, but making a game and fixing it is probably not as hard as it used to be. It's still hard. I can only imagine it's still hard. Oh shit. There's a tree there. I don't know how I missed that. There's a rock. Ugh. But yeah, like making a game and like back in the day and having to fix an issue, and like especially you have a big game. Let's say you're making an RPG. Let's just say, all right, and RPGs are notoriously long, and a lot of times, let's say like the character needs to have this sword, and like the sword only will appear after you complete this quest. In order to get that quest, you have to talk to this woman in this town. In order to talk to her, you need to bring her the herb from this town, and so on and so on. And trying to fix that is probably like sawing your arm off, because like just making that whole bit of like having to attach this event to this event and having it have to trigger this way is probably just horrendous. But having to fix it so it works right, my mate is coding a lot, partly for work, more than making little browser games. Huh, that's cool. I would want to do that. I think that's more of a reality, is like making little browser games. Like stuff for like Facebook. But I'm not an artist by any possible means. What time is it? I'll play for a little bit more, and then I'll end this and let it process, and then watch the video. Sorry. But yeah, like, trying to make an RPG quest and fix it, like, you have to go through all the code. Let's say, like, you have to talk to this guy in this town, and you talk to him, then that starts the event to then make the herb appear. And you go to find the herb, and the herb's not there. Well, you got to figure out why the herb's not there. And you got to look through the code and figure out, did it not appear? Did the code not execute? You know, why didn't it work? You have to work for a little team. There's someone doing design work. Yeah, it's a big to-do. And also, too, I mean, like, with code, it's like everything, I know this sounds dumb too, but everything has to work together. Everything has to cooperate. So, like, example, for me, driving on the road, I'm driving on the road, the bike is moving, I'm getting collision from the road, I'm not going through it, the map is progressing, the game's working in unison. This is how it should go. If one piece of code is off, the whole game could crash. So it's like, let's say, well, maybe not even crash. Let's say, like, the bike's moving, but the map isn't. Well, obviously the map will progress. I'll just be going in place. You know, or let's say the map's moving, but the tires aren't. You know, just little things like that. And like when you play a game, you don't ever think about it. You're just like, oh, cool, it's just like real life. And it's like, yeah, like, to make everything work, to have real life physics in a game is probably more complex than you realize. You have gravity, you gotta have propulsion, you gotta have, you know, friction and everything, you know. It's just, there's so much. And that's why usually when I play a game, I like to look around all the little details. I like to, like, you know, look at a building and be like, oh, look at that. You know, look at all the work they did, you know, because it's like, you know, some poor guy, you know, sat here forever for like a month on his computer, sleeping under his desk, and, you know, painstakingly made these blinds by his wife and kids. Were like, why aren't you coming home from work? And he's like, I'll be home in a week. I just gotta finish these curtains. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's so much code to make everything work right. So yeah, I mean, honestly, to all the developers out there, everybody who makes video games, I know no one's gonna hear this, but to everybody who actually legitimately makes video games, I want to thank you all for the hard work you do. And I do appreciate a lot of you do, because you provide a lot of entertainment for a lot of people, and especially the older generation who made the original NES games. We owe a lot to them, and we don't even know who any of them are. Oh, that's the messed up thing. So yeah, a bit of history here. I'm gonna. Again, a lot of people may know this, but a lot of you may not, and it's kind of fucked up. So, back in the day of early video game development, like Atari NES, even Atari. It was not a common practice for coders and stuff to get recognition. So a lot of them went by, pseudonyms? They went by alias names. That's why when you, like, beat an older game, you'd be like, oh, this game was designed by Tauntaun, and the debugger was, you know, Hideo, you know, and then weird, like, made-up names, because you were not allowed to put your real name in older games and get credit for it. So you can say, oh, I worked on the original Super Mario Brothers. And people are like, no, you didn't. Your name's not in the game anywhere. And it's not. And it's really fucked up. But yeah, that was common practice back in the day to not get respect for working on a game. Pixel Pete's Fun Time Arcade. Yeah, I'll go in. No, I can't. Oh, man. Who made this? I'd never seen this art before. Oh, my God. This is like fan art. I think it actually is like fan art. Huh. Right. And so yeah, like nowadays with video games, developers are able to finally get recognition. Actually, there was a famous case of this back on the Atari, the old Atari game Adventure. There was a glitch you can do where one of the developers of the game actually hid his name out of boundaries to get recognition for the game, and nobody found it for years. And it sucks that like so many people worked on all these great games and we don't know who any of them are. And yeah, like I said, I want to thank all of them for giving all of us, you know, our childhood, at least for me, and bringing so much joy to a lot of different people, and keeping the industry alive. Like video games in general have such a history. I can go on for another half an hour, another hour explaining about the crash that happened a couple of years ago, back in like the 70s, the 80s it crashed. But I'll bore you kids another time with that story. If you like people doing the sound design soundtracks, it's a similar problem. Oh yeah, exactly. It really is a shame. Like I just can't imagine, you know, working that hard. Like I say, you're like a lot of developers, they probably still do. A lot of them don't even go home half the time. They literally, I've seen it in older videos back on like game channels. They will literally have little curtains under their desk, and they will sleep under their desk because they can't go home, because they gotta take a quick little cat nap and then go back to working. Now, that's why a lot of times in like the ending credits, you'll see like special thanks and all that, and you might see like a message from the developer. Actually, I think I saw that in would it be Halo 1? A message of like, oh, sorry to my wife and kids for not being there for him and not being a proper father, and you know, and it's stressful too. I mean, go imagine you're sleep deprived, you're facing crunch times. You got your asshole boss. It's like, hey, you know that section of map that's not done yet? I need it by tomorrow. It's like, you want me to design a whole area in one day? It's like, yeah, you don't need sleep, right? I'll get you a coffee maker, and you just live in your office for the next 3 days. I can only imagine people die doing this. And not this, but unfortunately, people already did die from like sleep deprivation, all that crap. Yeah. Oh yeah. Designing video games is probably one of the hardest jobs. And people would argue with that, but it's a lot of mental. It's a lot of mental and a lot of physical. And it does take it out of you. It is one of the most stressful jobs. But at the same time, if you're a creator and you're an artist and you want to tell a story, well, then you don't care. You want to get your medium out there. And if your team is also on the same wavelength, and they're like, yeah, I'll sacrifice some sleep. I'll you know, get divorced. I don't care. Let's make this game. You know, let's have it happen. You know, I'm sure it's happened. I can only imagine. I love that sunset. That is probably this is the first thing I noticed about the 360 version. This sunset. I don't know who made this sunset, but that is fucking stunning. I mean, just the way the sun has this, like, because it's setting, and there's this, like, this pinkish, orangish glow to it. It's a little bit yellow, and it's actually, like, there's the ray tracing. It goes into the clouds, and the clouds have that, like, the pinkish blue and a little bit of grays in there, and it looks so realistic. You always worry rather... Yeah, exactly. You might work on this game, and that's the thing too. It's a lot of like instances where you might be like the coder. Let's say you're the coder and you're making all the tools for this game, and you're working your ass off making all these awesome tools for the developers. And developers just like, fuck it, just whatever, to just get it done in a week and ship it. And you think this whole time you're making this awesome game about, you know, a guy that, you know, goes to outer space, and he goes into an alternate dimension, and then he finds an alternate Earth that's similar, but it's not, and blah, blah, blah. You're thinking, oh, this game's gonna be awesome. It's, you know, well, yeah, freaking cyberpunk, basically. The No Man's Skies. Like, famous examples of, like, you think you're working on a freaking masterpiece, and you're putting your heart and soul into it, and the development side of the team is like, we don't really care enough. We're just getting paid to do this shit. And then you finally see the game, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And I can only imagine how many coders have, like, lost their minds just making all these tools and making all these excellent things and making all these programs, and the developers and then the director are just like, fuck it, we don't give a shit. So happy this little dev is like, due to me, Phasmophobia, he's so successful. Oh yeah, definitely. Indie developers are single-handedly keeping the industry thriving, in my outlook. That's weird. They invited me to post, but his picture didn't show up. But I mean, like companies like Rockstar, they know how to make a game. They're still good. They're probably one of the better of the ones. Bethesda has seriously dropped the ball in the past couple years. I think they're just burned out personally. They've changed, you know, their creative hands, and we don't know it. Nintendo's been pretty successful, but they need to keep up with the times. But there's a lot of companies that have dropped the ball majorly, and it really is a shame. But, like, personally as a gamer, I mean, yeah, I want a game to look good. I want a game to be shiny. But a game also has to... Oh, definitely. A game has to be more than just eye candy. And for a while there, that's all it was. Games were shiny, and they were pretty, and they fucking sucked. They had shitty gameplay, you know, horrible story, horrible voice acting. But it was nice looking, it was shiny, and that's what sold it. And I said, like companies like Rockstar, they know how to make a game. I mean, I don't know how they actually are, but this game looks stunning. There's so much art in here. There's so much creativity. You can feel it. You can see it, and there's so many small details that people worked on to make sure everything, you know, goes right. And this, to me, how you make a game, you know, and people are like, oh, well, Grand Theft Auto is all about killing, and it's all about crime. Yeah, it is. You're a criminal, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you look at like nude paintings. People are like, oh, that's art. And it's like, but she's nude. So if you look at a nude painting and you're like, oh, I see art, but you look at this and you're like, oh, I see it's a criminal. Well, I don't see the difference. This is still art. This is still, it's art. Wherever you look at it, it's still art. Yeah, it's not freaking Mona Lisa, but something still worked in this. Like, it's not, they're all like, you know, there aren't people at like the freaking offices smoking crack and like behind their desk and like, you know, doing pot, and they're just like, you know, just like, oh man, I just fucking make a game. You know, like, these are like hard-working people who legitly care about their craft. Yeah, like, art is, it's all open to interpretation, and art can be anything. And, a lot of people would hard disagree with that, you know. I know a lot of like mothers who are against video games would be like, this is art. I'm like, well, why is Mona Lisa art? Well, that was made by a famous painter. It was created by a person. Well, so is this. Well, there's killing. There's also killing in other paintings. There are scenes of freaking genocide in other paintings. I mean, don't go there, all right? I'm not saying that every game is a freaking masterpiece and they're works of art and they should be held to the same, you know, high aspects and all that. I'm not saying that at all, but, you know, don't look at a game and think less of it because you're playing as a criminal. Yeah. I mean, if this game, like, back in the day, like, Van Gogh helped make it, which would be fucking hilarious. People would be like, oh, Van Gogh helped make this game? Well, that game must be awesome. Because it's made by a guy you never heard of, it's not art. Look at that, look at those clouds. Look at those clouds there. I mean, you can't tell me that's not art. You know? That's my interpretation on it, you know? Games are much more than just electronic entertainment. It all depends on the individual and how you look at it. If you see them as just a video game, then yeah, they're just a video game. If you see them as a way to hang out with friends, or you see them as a way to let off steam, or you see them as a way for you to be creative, then there's so much more than just a game at that point. And that was pretty profound. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty damn profound. Let's put that on a t-shirt. But yeah, in all realism, I mean, it all depends on the individual. You know. I mean, someone can look at a painting and be like, well, that's just paint. And someone can be like, oh, there's an image on it. It's like, yeah, but it's just paint slapped on a canvas. Whoop-de-doo. Like a glove. Yes, you can explore the arbor from inside the game. Exactly. Exactly. I'm sure people who made the games are like, yeah, this is my masterpiece. This is art at its finest. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, it's been about an hour. I'm going to go ahead and end this here. I haven't been doing anything besides rambling on. I want to thank Trepo for being here and keeping me company while I rambled on. Like I said, I'm going to let this sit for a while and let it process. And I'm curious about the quality of it once it's done processing. And hopefully the quality is much more higher than it was before. And I think even the stream is, yeah, it's still running green. So I haven't seen anything, I have my moments. Alright. So thank you all for being here. I do appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.